Now I suppose you are all very familiar with this clip. Do you know what is the name of this movie and which actors starred in this movie? Yes, you are right. This is a clip from the movie Padmavat, and here Ranveer Singh had played the role of Alauddin Khalji. But why are we suddenly discussing Alauddin Khalji? In our previous lesson, we learnt about the slave dynasty or the Mamluk dynasty and how it came to an end. The end of the Mamluk dynasty means the beginning of the Khalji dynasty. This brings us to our discussion on the Khalji dynasty, which is why we are seeing this clip from the movie Padmavat, where Ranveer Singh starred as Alauddin Khalji. Now you must also be wondering that when a movie is made after this person, Alauddin Khalji must have been very important in the pages of history. To understand the rule of Alauddin Khalji, let us now go back to a time prior to his rule when the Khalji dynasty was being established under the Delhi Sultanate. The slave or Mamluk dynasty, that was the first dynasty under the Delhi Sultanate, was followed by the Khalji dynasty. When did this dynasty rule? The Khalji dynasty ruled from 1290 to 1320. This word Khalji is a Turkish word. So the name of this dynasty owes its origin to a Turkish word called Khalji, that means swordsman. This Khalji dynasty is also known as the Khilji dynasty. So this Khalji or the Khilji dynasty was the second great dynasty under the Delhi Sultanate. The Khaljis were of Afghan origin. That means these Khalji sultans had come to India from Afghanistan. Now let us try to understand what led to the decline of the Mamluka slave dynasty and how the Khaljis established themselves as the sultans under Delhi Sultanate. In our previous lesson, we learnt about Ghiyasuddin Balban, who was a very strong and competent sultan under the Mamluk dynasty. It was after his death in 1287 that he was succeeded by his grandson by the name of Kaikubad. Now Kaikubad was a very incompetent sultan. Kaikubad was then murdered by Jalaluddin Khalji in the year 1290. So Jalaluddin Khalji murdered Kaikubad in 1290, and this marks the establishment of the Khalji dynasty. So it is only after the murder of Kaikubad in 1219 that this person, Firuz Shah, took the title of Jalaluddin, and henceforth he came to be known as Jalaluddin Khalji. The word Jalaluddin means glory of the faith. Jalaluddin Khalji was the founder of the Khalji dynasty, or the second great dynasty under the Delhi Sultanate. Jalaluddin Khalji ascended the throne very late in his life. It was at the age of 70 that Jalaluddin Khalji ascended the throne as the Sultan of the Khalji dynasty under the Delhi Sultanate. Jalaluddin was a follower of peace and non-violence. This decision of his, that is to pardon his conspirators, his traitors, was not very liked by his nobles, his courtiers, which is why he wasn't very popular when he was ruling as the Sultan of the Khalji dynasty. Now what happened after that? As in, what happened after people were dissatisfied with Jalaluddin's decision to follow peace and non-violence? Jalaluddin's decision to follow peace and non-violence brought upon him his death. So it was his nephew by the name of Alauddin Khalji who murdered Jalaluddin in 1296 and Alauddin now ascended the throne. So Alauddin was now the Sultan of the Khalji dynasty under the Delhi Sultanate. With this, we come to the rule of Alauddin Khalji as the Sultan. He ruled from 1296 to 1316. Alauddin was a very powerful Sultan. He was also very cruel and resolute. It is for this reason that he was infamous among the masses. He was a very ruthless Sultan. But on the other hand, certain historians, certain travelers have a different perspective on him. Let us find the perspective of one such traveler. Ibn Battuta was a famous African traveler, and it was Ibn Battuta who considered Alauddin one of the best. So while Alauddin was infamous because he was very cruel, he was very ruthless and resolute, it was the African traveler Ibn Battuta who found Alauddin as one of the best. He considered Alauddin as one of the best sultans under the Delhi Sultanate. Alauddin Khalji was a very successful sultan. He expanded the Khalji dynasty and he annexed several kingdoms in the entire Indian subcontinent. He brought under his control areas like Gujarat, Marwar, Mewar and Malwa. He also took siege of the forts of Ranthambore and Chittor. So you can understand how he was annexing several Rajput kingdoms, and in the process of this he was extending the extent of the Khalji dynasty. Prior to this, the slave or the Mamluk dynasty never had under its control the kingdoms of the southern part of the country. Their territories were limited to the northern and the central part of India. But it was during the rule of Alauddin Khalji that he launched a Deccan Expedition. And this Deccan Expedition was launched under his most able and trusted general. Who was this person? It was Malik Kafur. So, under his most able and trusted general Malik Kafur, Alauddin launched his Deccan Expedition. Now let us find out which are the areas that Alauddin captured during his Deccan Expedition. Let us now try to understand which areas Alauddin Khalji conquered under this Deccan Expedition and how important this Deccan Expedition was. In the year 1307, Alauddin captured Devagiri. With this, he also captured the rulers of Warangal and Dwarasamudra. Simultaneously, he also plundered the wealths of Madurai and Rameswaram. So, this was his major Deccan Expedition. Now, why is this of any importance to us? Because prior to this, when the sultans of the Mamluk or the slave dynasty were ruling, they ruled territories which were above the river Narmada. It was for the first time that Alauddin Khalji extended his territory beyond this river Narmada. This is the river Narmada, and the territories that are there beyond this river are together called the Deccan area or the southern parts of the country. Now, the former sultans under the Delhi Sultanate never extended their territories beyond river Narmada. That is, they never went to attack and conquer and capture the Deccan regions. Now, it was Alauddin Khalji who was the first ruler of this Delhi Sultanate to extend his territory beyond this river Narmada. It is for this reason that his Deccan Expedition was very important and crucial. Now, This Deccan Expedition was also known as the external frontier of the Sultanate. Why is it so? Because the territories that lied above the river Narmada were called the internal territories. We will be discussing this later. But in this case, for the first time, as a sultan under the Delhi Sultanate, Alauddin Khalji annexed areas that were lying beyond this river Narmada, which is why this was called the external frontier of the Delhi Sultanate. This was a major victory, a major achievement on the part of Alauddin Khalji, because he was now conquering not just the northern parts of the country but the southern parts of the countries as well. In this expedition, he attacked and annexed these areas, and simultaneously he took away from these kingdoms their wealth, their slaves, their elephants and various resources. So this Deccan Expedition was very crucial to Alauddin Khalji, both in terms of expanding his empire and in terms of expanding his resources as well. Now let me ask you a question before we get into discussing other points about Alauddin Khalji's rule. Which Delhi Sultanate ruler extended his rule beyond the river Narmada? Was it Jalaluddin Khalji, or was it Alauddin Khalji? Was it Malik Kafur, or was it Ghiyasuddin Balban? Yes, you are right. It was Alauddin Khalji under his most able and trusted slave Malik Kafur that the Deccan Expedition was performed, and on account of this Deccan Expedition, territories beyond the river Narmada that lie in the southern part of the country were also captured and brought under the rule of the Khalji dynasty. Alauddin Khalji was a very able and powerful sultan. It is for this reason that he performed the Deccan Expedition and brought under his control the southern part of the country. During his rule, the Mongols from Central Asia invaded the Sultanate for 6 times. Can you imagine? 6 times these Mongols invaded the Delhi Sultanate. And you will be surprised to know that in all these 6 times, the Mongols were defeated by the army of Alauddin Khalji. Now you must be wondering how powerful Alauddin's army was. How could they manage to defeat the Mongols in all those 6 invasions? This brings us to a point that Alauddin, as a very powerful and able sultan, used to manage a standing army. This centralized standing army was meant to defend the territories of Alauddin Khalji and protect his territories from any kind of invasion. It is by maintaining this standing army that Alauddin Khalji was able to counter the Mongols' invasions. In our subsequent lesson, we will be trying to understand the various administrative policies that were undertaken by Alauddin Khalji. We will also try to understand how Alauddin Khalji managed to maintain this strong dynasty, that is, this Khalji dynasty. It was Jalaluddin Khalji who founded the Khalji dynasty, and it was under the leadership of Alauddin Khalji that this Khalji dynasty was given a new dimension. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers, or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million-plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.